The observer. She's like us. She's like us. Now, let me speak to the black women for a second. Let me speak to you black women for a second, okay? Let me speak to you black women. Because, see, I have way more respect for black women than these people out here. I'm telling you. You know what this says to me? You notice that it says, she's like us. Let me say that again. It says, she's like us. It doesn't say she is us. When you say this, when you lead out with this, she's like us. What you are doing by saying that and making that a declaration is, we're not on the same level, but she's kind of like us. So you're seeing yourself as someone that's lower than this individual. This says projection. This is what this says to me. Projection. You are projecting what you want to see in someone that you perceive that's better than you. So you got all of these black women, and you got some men up in there too, that are looking at her like, oh my God. She's, actually she's like us. Oh my God, she's actually like us. This is what this says. Where these women actually see themselves lesser than her. And you're willing to take the scraps.
Like, where do you think, if God ever forbid, I don't know what's going to happen, that Kamala gets elected, where do you think the black Americans specifically, because this is in the United States, is going to head? Where do you think that the community is going to head, the culture and all these things is going to lead? Do you think it's going to just be a thing of history at that point if this happens? What's your thoughts on this?
I think if she were to win, well, number one, as far as the direction of the country, it's the direction of the country itself in general. I know you weren't asking this, but I'm going to talk the general and then specific. As far as the direction of the country and what these different world leaders, where they want to see America go, that's not going to stop. It's still going to go in that same direction, regardless if Kamala gets into office or Trump gets in office. It's still going to continue on the same trajectory. That's number one. Now, as it pertains to the black community itself, or what we call the black community, I can guarantee you it will get worse. And when I say worse, I mean, communication, particularly between black men and black women. Now, I'm not just saying that just as some kind of scare tactic. You heard me earlier in the broadcast. If you were here, I was saying, I was talking about DEI, and what DEI is, this is a policy that is being pushed, where it's, anytime you hear black people refer to DEI, they're referring to only the black portion of this policy. But this policy also is about pushing LGBT, is pushing, men that want to identify as women. That it's also opening the doors for other, even more nefarious stuff. I mean, you got pedos out there that, they're finding their home in the LGBT landscape. I mean, they've always been there as far as I'm concerned. These are the things that, particularly as black men, real black men, we fight against. We want to preserve the home. We want to preserve, our women. We want our women. We love our women. Real black men. We love our women. We cherish our women. We want to see our women succeed and move forward in life and be big and do all the things that they've been created to do. We also are fierce defenders of our children. We want to protect our children. We don't want our children to be indoctrinated by, any kind of system that's telling them that it's okay to have their stuff chopped off. It's okay to have this added and all of this stuff. And what it does, you're creating mental, you're building, you're compounding on issues that need to be taken care of by other means. So it's actually debilitating or our ability as protectors and providers of our families and our communities by pushing these types of policies. And when you have women like this, I'm saying political women, I'm being very specific with this because, again, it's not all black women that are for this bandwagon. You got a lot of black women that see this for what it is too. But by pushing these types of policies and people who are promising to push it even further, you're actually taking away our ability as men to do what we are here to do as well. I mentioned even earlier, she talked about in the first 100 days, she wants to push a policy that's similar to what's happening down in Australia, where they're confiscating guns and stuff like that. And, some people who are anti-gun may say, well, that's good. I'm glad to see that. But there are many cases, and I'm glad I'm talking because I actually have a story too that I want to share where there's a black man that was in Arizona Mall. There's Arizona Outlet. I want to play that story, and I'm going to tie it to one of the policies that she's pushing.
I take her into a toy store. Bless you, baby. I take her into a toy store, and we were there for a few minutes. Just wasn't feeling the vibe. It was a weird vibe from the get. And we leave the toy store, and I swear to God, my daughter's like 2 steps behind me. I'm walking out the store. I notice a dude cutting me off from behind, like in between me and my daughter. So as I'm exiting the store, I look back and he's touching the top of her head like this. And if I wouldn't have looked back, when I looked back, I already felt something. And this all happened in an instant. So I look back and I catch him doing this over her head like he knew her. And it was some Mexican cat that didn't even speak English. So I'm going off. And first I had to, it happened so fast that I'm in shock. I just tell my daughter, come here. But everything's registering, right? Like that doesn't happen often. So my mind's like, if I hit this dude, like if I spaz, all they gonna see is me spazzing. They're not gonna see why I'm pissed. I don't even have to explain why that shit isn't okay. And so I walk a little bit towards the left out of the store, and I'm at Arizona Mills Mall, mind you. And my daughter sees some scooters. She hops on the scooters, and I turn my back. I look around. I look back at the store that we came out of, and sure enough, those the dude that touched her head came out, and there was a lady with him. And then 2 other dudes, but the lady dispersed. It's like he told her something. Like first of all, when they came out of the store, as soon as they came out, they looked in the direction that we left, and they came this way. But he didn't see me standing like a ways, you know what I mean? Just watching them. And I wish I would have got that on camera, but like I said, I'm still in shock. So at this point, they're coming towards me, and when they finally notice me that I'm staring at them, bro, I wish I would have had that part recorded. I was still in shock, but I got video footage of them, and that's what I'm going to show you. And their mannerisms, their behavior, like I said, when they got to me, that's when I started going off, because that's when I was like, nah, I saw what I saw. I know I saw what I saw, and I'm not backing down. So I'm yelling in his face. I'm like, don't touch kids in here. Don't do that. Like, you don't do, but as I'm explaining, like, what he did wrong, I'm like, nigga, you know what you did. Like, so now I want to beat his ass, and all people can see is just this angry black guy, right? Typical situation. So then I just say, fuck it, and I start recording them. And their behavior, if you're a parent, like, you know, man, part 2 coming up.
So this is what you're seeing right now. What he described, basically, this is what's coming in. Now, I'm not saying everybody that's crossing the border is in this, is trying to take children away. But there is an element of these individuals who are into that that is coming over like that. And it's increased as the border has remained open. And as I've said on this platform many times, I don't just blame Democrats. I also blame Republicans on that, too, because they both benefit from it. So they just play ping pong with it. But anybody that's getting up here and saying that these people, we just got to leave the gate wide open and let these people just come on in and we're going to fund them and give them a place to stay and give them a warm meal and all this other stuff. And you're allowing this kind of stuff coming in. This is the direct impact that this is having, particularly on black folks.
These South and West Side homeowners are angry. They believe the city has overextended itself and should be putting the tens of millions of dollars earmarked for migrants into Chicago's most vulnerable neighborhoods.
But the South Side has been under-resourced, underfunded for years, for decades. We have schools that need to be reopened. We have buildings that are abandoned that need to be business operated.
The group says the city has abandoned its Invest Southwest initiative, a Lightfoot-era program that was dedicated to reversing decades of disinvestment on Chicago's South and West Sides, promising to align more than $2.2 billion through public and private funding.
We are taxpayers, we're property owners. Our money should go towards fixing our communities.
The city has received more than 15,000 migrants since August 2022.
We have no more room. Y'all are embarrassing Chicago as a whole.
According to analysis by the ABC7 data team, there are more than 20 active migrant shelters across the city, 7 located on the South and West Sides.
Whether it's one shelter or whether it's 10 shelters, we're saying the facilities that are there for us, the money needs to be put into those facilities for us.